All right, so this video is going to be a little different than anything I've done in the past. I just spent the past 3 hours going through 2,800 different permits that were pulled over the last 90 days here in Central Florida. Everything from the designs phase all the way to the start phase. And what I've uncovered is billions of dollars in future development going on in Central Florida. And we're going to dive in today on where a lot of that's happening, where I see the future going, and maybe some uncovered areas that I haven't even talked about yet. Stay tuned. I've been thinking about how do I want to break this down. It's a lot of data, and I just want to be able to get across exactly where these hotspots are so that you can make better decisions. If you're looking to buy or sell, whether you're starting a business, you're buying a house, any of that stuff here in Central Florida. And so the first place I'm going to start off with today, I've been talking about it a lot, especially over the past 6 months, is Clermont. There's over $700 million in active development going on in Clermont. Everything from, you got Wellness Way, which is way over $100 million build out. You've got a mental health facility going in that's like $100 million build out. But I was adding up all of the police and fire and schools and Chipotle. And if there's ever a place that I wanted to sponsor me beyond Foxtail, it would be Chipotle. I eat there 5 days a week. But just a lot of kind of things going on in the Clermont area. And that's spreading out really all over Lake County because of the available land that's there. It just makes sense. But $700 million in active permitting going on right now in Clermont, it's something to pay attention to. All right, I'm going to go a couple minutes into the video here, and we're going to jump right to the biggest one going on because it's really no surprise. But I want to think about the city of Orlando, the 59 zip codes that are the city of Orlando, everything from Lake Nona to downtown to kind of all over here. I want you to pause the video and try to put a dollar figure, just guess how much is going on here in Central Florida in regards to new and rehab development. I'll wait. Okay, if you did it, thanks for placating me. The number is actually over $5 billion in new development here in the city of Orlando. That's everything from O-Town West to the Epic Universe at Universal to what's going on at Disney to really UCF and infrastructure and roads, all that kind of stuff. One of the things I was actually very surprised at is we have almost $200 million in solar infrastructure going in. Everything from Disney spending that, and I think there's $46 million they're spending actively right now on new solar fields, all the way to sort of the public kind of grants. It's remarkable to see how much investment is going on right here in the city of Orlando. All right, so here's the spot that shocked me more than anything because I don't talk about it a ton, and that's Kissimmee. Kissimmee is 9 zip codes across Osceola County, and that's where Celebration is. That's where a lot of resort Airbnbs are, and so I just kind of in my mind always think oh, that's kind of the resort area plus a lot of farmland. There's really not much going on in Kissimmee. Then I dove into the actual numbers, and here's what I found that absolutely shocked me. Just looking at permitting over $1 million, there's currently $1.4 billion of active development going on in Kissimmee. That's massive when you think there's 59 zip codes in Orlando at $5 billion and $1.4 billion over 9 zip codes in Kissimmee. And so let's talk about where the money is going to be spent. You have a lot going in at 192. You do have a lot of resorts, a lot of things going on that continually bolster that up. But beyond that, there's a lot of affordable housing. There's a lot of new apartments. There's a lot of other things beyond the resort market that I was kind of shocked about. I'm noticing a lot of pharmaceutical companies investing in industrial. You've got apartments, you've got infrastructure, and making the whole area of Kissimmee a little bit more cohesive and easier to get to. And so I was just absolutely shocked when I saw just beyond the resort, beyond the short-term rental, what's actually going on in Kissimmee. And I think that by the time you look at Neo City, what's going on, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So don't count out Osceola County if you're thinking about moving to Central Florida. All right, so I think the latter part of this video, I really want to talk about where are some like growth areas that I think are really impressive. Two of those are going to be St. Cloud, where you have Sunbridge going in. That's going to be a 25-year build out. There's so much going on. Just this past week, we released a whole intro sort of preview of Sunbridge. Make sure you watch that. But beyond that, St. Cloud has some really huge land deals going right now. In fact, just this past week, there was a $150 million takedown of 6,000 acres in the city of St. Cloud. And so for the longest time, St. Cloud was kind of like this, like, yeah, there's a lot of land there. Maybe one day they'll do something with it. All of a sudden, fast forward, these developers are getting really hot on St. Cloud because they're looking for like, where can I put a continual amount of thousands of acres? And that's going to be Osceola County and Lake County. And you're now finally seeing these developers get hip to this. And so interestingly enough, in St. Cloud, there's about $300 million in active development currently going through the permitting process, but there's so much more than that. The second place I would say that I'll be keeping an eye on is Davenport. Davenport has $213 million in active development. The majority of that is residential. You've got apartments, retail, a little bit of retail, but the majority of that are townhomes, single family, and apartments. Really interesting to see. So that's this week's video, kind of diving in more of a macro level. I mean, there's over almost $10 billion of active development going through the design and planning phase here in Central Florida. And in my mind, I kind of thought that number would be more like 2 or 3 billion. When I started diving into these numbers and figuring out what's the story of Orlando, where are these growth spots happening? Are there actual jobs being created because of this development? The answer has to be yes. These people have to build these buildings and these roads and these schools and all of these kind of things. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity here that the story is not being told. Orlando is so much more beyond just the theme parks, which I love, but there's so much more going on here beyond that. And I think it's something really exciting to be a part of. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere in Central Florida, my team and I, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. We're here to help. Our email is info@pozekgroup.com. And then before you leave, hit the subscribe button as we're putting out new videos around life here in Central Florida, theme parks, real estate. We'll see you guys on the next video.